You're listening to Unmuted with Papamutes.
Now, when you were at Happy Valley, did you say, I'm going to write a book someday? Or was that just, it came about when you were partying with shit's money?
So it's funny, I never really thought of myself as a writer, even now, but I was always writing, and you don't realize it. And your agent could probably attest to this. Like I was, I because of the organizations that we were involved in, I would do a lot of long emails to our teams and so on and so forth about God knows what. And people would like call me out for it all the time. Like, this guy will not shut up. His emails are so long. I'm very thorough. So it honestly, like in hindsight, it's not super surprising, but I never would have thought, even 2 years ago, I never would have thought I'd be able to, or have the patience to sit down and write out a book. But who knows? Things change.
That's right. Would you write another one?
I would. I actually really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was fun.
Cool. Now, how do you, this is kind of a side question. I don't need to know the totals, but you write a book, it's on Amazon, right? Correct? Among other things, maybe,
Yeah.
but I just know. Actually, Shiits gave me this book, by the way. So he either purchased it or stole it, one or the other.
Surprised he didn't use it as toilet paper.
How do you know how it's doing? In other words, does Amazon send you like a monthly report and say, hey, somebody in Philly bought this book? Or I mean, how is that tracked?
It's not great. Look, the book industry, the publishing industry is very behind on the times.
They need to join or die.
They're going to die. It is no surprise that all these things are being replaced by Amazon, because all these publishers do not know what they're doing.
Wow.
I use a publishing company, and through that, it's called Mill City Press.
Okay.
Through that publishing company, they contract out to a printer, which is called Lightning Source,
Okay.
which is owned by a larger company called Ingram. They do a lot of textbooks and things like that. So my books are sold print on demand, which means that every time a book is sold, boom, it gets run through the printer.
Nice.
As opposed to, it's not as if like I have a warehouse of these books sitting in an Amazon fulfillment center,
Right.
collecting dust until somebody buys it.
I think that's a better idea.
Good,
Yeah.
because it's lower risk for me. That's why a lot of authors have sprung up in the last couple of years, because there's very little risk. You put out a book, now I get less royalties. Like if I was willing to commit to, hey, I'm gonna have 10,000 books printed, I'll get a cheaper cost per book. But now I'm sitting on 10,000 copies and I have to warehouse that
Exactly.
somewhere.
Right.
So the print on demand model is very favorable for an idiot like me.
Okay.
Where I had no idea. I had no idea how many books I would be able to sell. Basically, the way it works is that I get a monthly report from Mill City Press, my publisher, about the books that were sold like 45 days prior. Like, it's very delayed. And honestly, like, I have no idea if it's accurate. Like, this is actually kind of an issue because of the route that I chose. But listen, the reason I wrote it was, I'm not a career author.
Right. Sure.
The reason I wrote it was to promote the business.
Sure.
So I'm happy that it's out there. I'm happy that the people that I wrote it for are seeing it, and they seem to like it. And like, I don't make a lot of money on every book sold, so it's not as if something that's gonna help me retire at any point soon.
No.
At this point, like, because I had to spend a lot of money to get it published. I had to pay for editors, I had to pay for designers and people that helped me with the citations in the back. Like, this is the whole act of, okay, now I have a finished manuscript and I have to take it to print. It's a very expensive process to finalize everything. So I've since covered my costs.
Okay.
Now it's gravy, and it's promoting the business, and it's a good piece of legitimate collateral that we have to showcase to the world about who we are. So mission accomplished, I guess I would say.
Nice. Okay. Cool. Now, just a little side note. My agent, you met playing lacrosse at Penn State. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And he's asking me for some inside information on fantasy football coming up. Are you still heading that? Are you still leading the pack there? He's looking for some inside scoop.
I am not the guy to ask. It is. So we happen to be in a very competitive fantasy football league.
I hear.
That it was started by myself and this other guy that we worked together at the time. This was right out of college. We had a lot of time on our hands.
That's why you went to college.
Exactly. We had a lot of time on our hands. We spent most of our working days like just figuring out this fantasy football league with all these like really complicated rules, and it's absolutely bonkers. And of course, your agent is one of the key members of that.
Sure.
And as time has gone on and all of us have become more busy, I've gotten so much worse. I was like so good at it then, and I've gone in a tailspin. So I am not the person to ask for fantasy football advice. I actually, in the book, I talk about my foibles as a fantasy football owner, and it's in the league that your agent is in.
Yes.
But the funny thing is he was the worst. He was the worst player for the longest time.
Wow.
I am now
knowledge.
taking that throne. I am now taking that from him as the worst person in the league.
So you would want advice from him, it looks like.
I mean, I would rather come in dead last for the rest of my life than willingly go to him for advice. But I too much pride.
There you go. Pride. All right. So you're a Bills fan, is that correct?
Yes, Buffalo Bills.
Now, how'd that happen since you're in Long Island?
Bad luck. Yeah, no, really. I have no ties to Western New York or anywhere where I grew up, it's all Jets fans and Giants fans.
Right.
My dad was never really, like when he was growing up, he wasn't that much into football. He had a business partner that was from Buffalo, and they went up there and he went to a game or two, and this was right as Jim Kelly was being drafted. So it was a good time to be a Bills fan. So my dad got really into it, and now
you're stuck.
He pledged it, but then of course, like I'm born. Well, actually, I'll take a step back. Then the first Super Bowl that they're in, it's 1991. They're playing the Giants. Chip shot field goal to win the game.
I remember.
Scott Norwood goes wide right. Misses the field goal. The Bills lose. It's a tragic loss. I am born the next day. My mother hates when I tell this story, but both my father and the doctor who delivered me were both very hungover at my birth. But the thing is, the doctor was a Giants fan. Oh, no. So he was very happy and energized to be there. My father was sad and hungover for the wrong reasons.
Oh, wow.
But, so I was born that next day. The Bills went to 3 consecutive Super Bowls after that, lost every one. And it's been a rocky road since then until now where, hey, I'm cashing in all my checks.
I think I will predict on the Papamutes podcast that they will win the Super Bowl. Maybe not this year, but I see it happening. Which leads me to an OJ question. As you know, OJ played for the Buffalo Bills prior to your existence, prior to the wide right, or was it wide left? I can't remember.
Wide right.
Wide right. He's never won a Super Bowl, OJ. And he's not the leading rusher for Buffalo. Do you know who the leading rusher is all time?
Is it Fred Jackson?
It is not.
Thurman Thomas?
Yes.
Thurman Thomas. I figured that was the easy answer.
Thurman Thomas, 11,938 yards. So OJ takes a back seat on that one.
It's a good thing.
Yes. So now,